All right, welcome back. Another episode of Michigan Brews. This is actually number 10. We're finally in double digits. That's pretty badass.
If you count zero, I guess.
No, this is 0 it'd be 11, but whatever. So tonight we're going to be talking about homebrew clubs. We've got a bunch of people from different homebrew clubs around Michigan. It's going to come in, and we're going to bullshit with them for a little while. Talk about kind of what their clubs do, and the importance of being in a club. The video I've got playing on stream for those that are interested. This is a collaboration that we did with, I think, 9 other clubs last year or the year before. No, it was last year, where we all got together and we all brewed a beer for the Michigan Homebrew Festival. So this was, you'll see the clubs at the bottom of the screen, Genesee, Keepers, Coonan, Livingston, Motor City Masters, Snob, Pontiac, and Sons. And that was a great day, big club collaboration. So
do you remember what beer that was?
Yeah, so we brewed, the Keepers did a cherry IPA with like a Michigan Belgian wheat, or Belgian style wheat. It was all Michigan ingredients. All of the grain was grown in Michigan. The yeast was donated by Craft Culture. I think I used Eagle River or something like that, which is a Michigan-derived yeast, but it had some kind of Belgian-y, saison-y characteristics. And then every club, we basically shared the wort out of, that's Livingston's brew system. And then every club took 5 gallons and did something different with it and brought it back to festival. So it was a really cool night. So that said, we're going to bring our guests in. We don't have any special beer that we're all drinking tonight since it's all homebrew. So I'm going to try to stick with homebrew myself tonight, and not crack the hams. God damn it. So right on. All right, let's bring these guys in. So we've got Paul Phipps from Livingston Social Brew Club. Look, I'm already fucking up. David Jones from our club, Keepers of Craft, and then Jeff and Burchart and Leigh McBain from Sons of Liberty. Guys, thanks for joining us. Really appreciate you coming and hanging out with us tonight.
Hello.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
So let's treat this like a regular work meeting and go around. Everybody knows who Brian and I are, but Paul, you were the first one in. Let's who you are, what's your club, and where you're from.
So I'm Paul Phipps. I'm from Howell, Michigan, part of Livingston Social Brew Crew. We meet here in Howell at normal times at Aberrant. Pretty small club. We got about 20 members. I am the only officer, and that I'm the treasurer. And we decided as a club that it wasn't really worth having elections and things, that we had a core group of guys that were dedicated, and but basically we opened it up. Whoever wants to participate in the decision-making process gets a vote. If you're going to put in the work in the club and do all that, you can help decide. And it's not going to be just a couple people that decide everything.
How many people you got in the club?
Are you the AHA listening for insurance purposes?
Enough. You have enough then.
No, we have I think usually about 19 paid members each year. And I consider a paid member as somebody that paid and showed up to more than one meeting. So that works out to be about 19 each year.
Right on. Cool. You drinking any homebrew tonight?
I am not. I've got kegs of homebrew everywhere, but nothing. It's like ready to.
Right on.
I haven't, but I'm starting out with I went through the cellar, decided to keep it fruity. I got an old bottle of Fruitwood.
Ooh.
Oh wow!
Been a while.
I've got a couple in the cellar too, but I'm afraid to open them. How is it?
I think this is probably the original 12-ounce batch, and I've got no complaints.
Right on.
Tasting fine.
Cool. Let's go to Sons. Leigh.
Howdy.
Hey, Leigh.
How you guys doing?
Fantastic.
Good. So,
what's your sign, Leigh?
I was born under the.
Tell us what you like.
I'm a Virgo. No.
What's one of your favorite hobbies?
So, Leigh McBain, Sons of Liberty out of Plymouth. I've been brewing since 2011 when I got a Mr. Beer kit, kind of crazy. And it just kind of spiraled from there and ended up joining Sons of Liberty probably a year or so after I started brewing, and met Jeff and a bunch of other guys and started doing lots of brewing of bag beers and that kind of stuff. But I'm a former president, as is Jeff, and we have term limits in our club. So every 2 years and it kind of gives people a fresh face of the club, allows us to go in a different direction if it's getting stale or whatever, and it keeps the burden off of any one person to be president forever and ever. Amen. So
Right.
Yeah, don't say that though.
Yeah. Should I go now?
Yeah, go for it, Jeff.
All right. Yeah. Hey, Jeff Burchart here, Sons of Liberty. Yeah, currently reside in Livonia, but part of our clubs, Sons of Liberty, most members are hail from this side of town: Canton, Livonia, Plymouth, Westland, some as far as Commerce and other surrounding areas. But I was part of, I guess, the original group. I was just doing intermediate brewing and was looking to do all grain, and was talking to a fellow at one of our church functions by the name of Joe Rohde, and he was I don't know if he was employed at Liberty Street at the time, but anyway, mentioned they're trying to get a club going. Went over there, blah blah blah. Started off meeting in the basement next to the glycol chiller. This was before we were allowed to meet on the premises once the laws changed. So our first year or so of meetings were pretty warm and noisy, so we had to do a lot of yelling, and maybe started off with 6 or 7 people, and then ramped up to maybe upwards of 30 some at any given time, as people come and go, this and that. But then once I got into the club, I started all grain brewing, and currently still doing all grain brewing. So,
how many people are in Sons? Do you guys keep track?
I think the last treasurer's report with paid attendees or members was like 24, I believe. Mm-hmm. But that was again before COVID, so I'm not sure what the numbers are.
We had a virtual meeting just a week or so ago, and we were up to about 32, 33.
Oh, okay.
That's great participation. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. And then we've got David Jones, our president for life of Keepers of Craft.
Don't say that. Crying out loud. Hello.
Hey, David.
Hi, David.
So I know it's silly because we're in Keepers, but David, tell us a little bit about Keepers.
Yeah. So my name's David Jones. I live in Portage. Keepers of Craft are most of our members are from Kalamazoo, Portage area. We got a couple from slightly further afield. So Tim Wickland, if he's listening, is the current acting VP. He's out in Burchart, so he's got a 45-minute, 50-minute drive on the way in. Looking at how many, I think we've got about 45 current members. If Patrick's online, he'll be able to. I was just trying to check it on my Dropbox. But I'm pretty certain Patrick's about to correct me because he likes to correct me.
Right.
Because sometimes I need correcting. Yeah, so we get together the second Sunday of every month for our meetings. We typically meet at One Well in Kalamazoo. But obviously since the whole world fell apart, we've been going virtual. We've had one in person. But say our last meeting yesterday was another virtual meeting.
Yeah, I've seen the opposite for us. Like our virtual meetings tend to tail off. I think we're missing meeting in person for sure. Before we move on or get too much farther into it, I do want to point out, in case anybody else that's watching has noticed, Jordan's not with us. He's playing dad, so I just thought I should call that out.
Got to do that.
Yeah, Jordan. Let's see. We kicked off Michigan Brews about 10 weeks ago, and it was 1 week after the birth of his first son. So,
oh wow!
And he hasn't missed an episode as far as I remember.
It's
been
pretty amazing that he's been able to kick it with us so far. Yeah. So Jordan, cheers.
He said he'd be listening. He'll join us again, but yeah.
See how we didn't go around that, David. What do you're not at home, so what are you drinking?
I am drinking Nickel by 18th Street Brewing.
You just stopped and picked up a bunch on your way through.
I might have picked up a case. I'm stuck between the laboratory and a hotel room all day, so you better believe it. I'm enjoying a finely crafted brew.
Good deal.
Leigh, you're pouring a can. That's not homebrew.
I saw the Michigan Homebrew Festival glass too.
Yeah, I'm trying to represent whatever.
Hello.
But I'm drinking a Z's Pet Dinosaur from Big Lake Brewing.
Nice.
Okay.
And it's a hazy New England style. It's really, really good. My daughter bought me a 6-pack for Father's Day, so they obviously know me pretty well.
Nice. And Jeff, your last one, man. What do you got?
Well, right now I'm sipping on a homebrew, a Russian Imperial Stout. This was brewed back on Teach a Friend to Brew Day or Learn to Brew Day in November, and it's been sitting on the keg for about a month now. Very good, very tasty, low carbonation, pretty good. I have it on tap next to our club barrel project, a Russian Imperial Stout that we had sitting in a barrel. Four Roses barrel, correct, from Tennessee, I believe.
Nice.
And we left it in a bit long though, so it's got a lot of tannin character, but it's mellowing the longer it sits. And but anyway, I'm just drinking the regular non-bourbon barrel aged right now.
So that's a good question, Jeff. How's your track record on barrel aging in your club?
Well, that first one, that Russian Imperial Stout, was actually our first club effort at that. Right. And once we had pulled that out, I believe it was now a year and a few months ago, we had pulled the stout out and then poured a wee heavy in there. And unfortunately, we were about to rack the wee heavy out when the coronavirus came along. And unfortunately, the person hosting the keg in their basement has a newborn in the house. So last thing we wanted to do was to bring anything over there, anybody that might be a risk. So the barrel still sits there with the wee heavy still in it. We have a IPA ready, or a pale ale ready to go in it. We did anyway. I think people have been drinking it now. But 55 gallons of a pale ale to go in there, and the tail end, betting it's going to be somewhat of a sour. But this wee heavy, again, it's been in there quite a while.
15 months.
Yeah. So, but we took a vote at, I believe, our last person meeting. We're going to get a new barrel and start from scratch and try to hold a little tighter to the 3 months type aging rules, and see if we can get a little better about keeping track of time and all that.
How big is the barrel that you guys are using right
52.
It is a 52.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay.
That's cool. The other club here in Kalamazoo has a barrel that they rotate in and out of, but we don't currently yet. I know a lot of our members overlap, but
yeah, we got a really good deal. One of our members was down at Four Roses, and they had the barrels sitting there, and he just casually said, "Oh, how much are those?" And they said $130. And I was the president at the time, and he calls me up and says, "I can get a 52-gallon barrel for $130." I said, "What are you waiting for?"
Yeah,
I was
normally anything with our club, anything above $50 would have to go to a vote.
Yeah,
but in that case, the command decision was the right one. So, Good job, Leigh.
Well, I told him if the club didn't want it, that I would buy it from him.
So, yep.
Paul, what about
you?
you?
55 gallons by yourself?
I was actually surprised. I was over at Farm and Family like 2 weeks ago, and they had red wine barrels outside, $99 a piece.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
How big? 55 or
59.
Wow.
Yeah, I've heard some party stores will do that. They'll buy a cask of wine and then they'll bottle it themselves, but they get the barrel too, and then they can sell the barrel or use it as decor or whatever. But they put their label on it, I guess. But
so I've been part of a couple projects, and we've done a couple projects. I will say all the clean beer projects have gone south pretty fast. It just takes one bad batch of sanitation, and that sucker's done.
Our Russian Imperial turned out pretty good. It was pretty bourbony, but it did mellow, and it actually, if you cut it with something else, it really tasted really good,
like vodka.
But I was in a project. They had I went in on the second fill. It wasn't RIS. Then we did a wee heavy. Wee heavy went bad. I took my batch of the wee heavy and put some more bugs in it and let it go, and it turned out pretty awesome. But we ended up getting a bunch of pitches of the Blackman Brewing dry sour pitch for their Flemish blend, and we inoculated the barrel with that. Did a couple batches. Ended up inoculating the barrel with Brett C to do a Tart of Darkness clone. Nice. And I fermented my whole batch of stout with Brett C, and I'm like, I just really want to do like a tropical stout on Brett C or something. But yeah, so that barrel's taken a Michigan Homebrew Cup. I think it's gone to a couple of final mini rounds at NHC for different doctorings of the pulls. And so on that barrel, each fill was a different type of sour beer. I just got out of that barrel back in the winter.
Was it like a blonde base and like a Flanders base?
Yeah, so we've done stout, we've done saison base.
Oh, okay.
I mean, we're all over the map. I mean, we've done a Berliner Weiss style beer. We've lots of different things, and everything's been pretty good. I mean, the worst you could say it's we did a couple. I think we did 2 Golden Strongs in there, and I think the worst thing to say was they weren't complex enough. And if that's all you're going to say, that's not right. That's still successful.
So yeah, we've only really been going for about 4 or 5 years. So it's a little, we're a little young to be getting into the barrel game, and I don't have any space in my basement.
Well, I was going to say though, David, you placed a Michigan Homebrew Cup with the Cloud Barrel beer, right?
No, that was Bill.
That was Bill? Okay.
Yeah, Bill Blakesley got silver.
I apologize.
For his American Wild. But no, he also got, I believe, he's going to correct me. I believe he got silver or bronze for the Flanders Red that he had in it as well.
Oh, that Flanders was amazing. Yeah, so I mean, yeah.
One of his he put in as American Wild, and the other one was the European Sour.
Yeah.
And then
he told me yesterday, so I should know.
Last year, or I'm sorry, I don't remember. 2018, I think we got a Chardonnay barrel from Eternity Brewing where we were meeting at, and I collected about a dozen guys going on all the costs, and we did I borrowed somebody's 50-gallon setup, and we brewed a complete batch to fill the thing. And we did that all in one night, and that worked out really well just to do it as a single fill. Right. And for that one, we did the Rare Barrel Golden Sour blend. And then I developed a bit of a relationship. Actually, one of the other guys talked to him, but we got a 2-barrel pitch of the House Culture at Speciation, and that's what we inoculated the barrel with. Oh, and wow. He pulled it right out of his E-Spring for me. Here you go.
Damn, that's awesome.
And I'm like, I could culture this from a bottle, but I know you got wine yeast and stuff in there. Yeah, sure, I'll give you some off the yeast drink. Awesome. But Mitch is a home brewer, so
right.
And so that barrel, the problem is nobody's wanted to brew for it. We got a dozen guys, and nobody wants to brew because we're going to treat that one as a Solera and swap out a third at a time, but nobody wants to brew. So I think it's that. I think James took a pH reading a couple weeks ago, and it was down to like 2.87. So it's good.
Well,
We think it's maybe some IPA is going to go in there to help
bring it up.
neutralize it.
neutralize it a bit.
Oh, we might be willing to haul a few gallons of wort over there if you want to.
Man.
If you need some volunteers to get in that.
We might just need empty kegs. I'm ready to go buy 50 pounds of grain and just brew up 30 gallons of backfill and just fill people's kegs.
There you go. Yeah, I know. I think I'd like to see Keepers get a barrel next year. I'm probably going to be once I get my basement done, I'll probably host it, I guess, because I want one bad. So I don't know, David. We got to talk about it. But
feel free.
Yeah, just gotta have a space where it won't be disturbed or in your way for a period of time.
Yeah.
So once you fill it up, it's rather hard to move.
So it's funny. The guy that had their Ann Arbor barrel, he had to move, and I happened to have purchased a bunch of half barrel kegs from, I don't know, the guy that was brewing at Axel. He had like several different projects, but his ancient kegs he was selling off and for like $40 a piece. I'm like, I'll spend $40 on legal kegs, right? So I bought a bunch of them, and it's like, well, I got all these stinkies that you can borrow. They got the spears all pulled, and so that's what he hauled all the wort between houses, emptied the barrels into the sink. Keys and transferred it. And I'll whip the beer. Not great. I was amazed.
Wow,
nice.
I thought for sure we'd have some sort of oxidized garbage.
Not unlike normal homebrew.
Sounds like a sump pump is probably a good plan for a basement barrel project.
Yeah, I just put one in actually, so I'm all ready to go. So we got you guys on here to talk about homebrew clubs. I think it's pretty common knowledge. The reasons why. I did some Googling around this week, like why should you join a homebrew club? And it's about info, it's about collaboration, education, and camaraderie. We all know that, but what are some of the things you guys have been doing to kind of keep your clubs engaged over, through your meetings, or what do you guys do together as a club to make your homebrew club kind of stay on track? And
well, we have a couple of Keepers. We have a couple of competitions a year, and we also try to get we want people to kind of challenge themselves with some of their brews. So we've done things. For example, one of them was a cereal beer, so you had to include at least one box of breakfast cereal in there. We did another one that was a homebrew draft. So instead of picking the full team for your draft, you pick the ingredients. So we've done things like that, to try to get people to kind of up their game. Not really up their game, but to kind of challenge themselves for a beer that they wouldn't typically try to brew. Brian wrote a website generator where it would randomly generate a beer to make, and you had a choice of so many different beers that you could brew. So we try to do things like that. It's a simple way of getting people to kind of, as I say, move outside their comfort zone. In fact, one of the competitions we had, the person who eventually won it was complaining that they had to brew an extract beer because all of the base malts had been drafted, and they were complaining. They were bitching to me about it for months. The fact that they had to use an extract, and then they won it. So I'm like, so obviously you don't mind brewing extract then,
right? Yeah. Which one was that?
That was the draft.
No, I know the draft. That was Drew. Okay.
Yeah, it was like a mango
Belgian
something. Yeah.
Mango Belgian something.
And I think that's such an important point to bring up too. Like a lot of I guess you'd say like entry level home brewers start off brewing extract, right? Like I would probably wager to guess like the majority of them, and there's some sort of I guess I don't know, stigma brewing extract, and I don't know. I think that kind of helps go to show a little bit that like it's a lot of more about process and knowledge and skill, and not so much about like ingredients and stuff. Because I mean, to a point, it is about ingredients, right? But you're making wort, but the beer comes mostly just everything on the cold side, and I think that a lot of that knowledge and sharing comes from like being in a club and stuff like that. Like,
So do some of the other guys do competitions or?
Yeah, so I can talk about the history on that for us. We started off. I think the club was relatively small. We used to meet at a homebrew store here in town, and that kind of went defunct. And we transferred over to Eternity Brewing when they opened up. And Mike were homebrewers who owned it at the time, and we had a competition, and I was brewing less than a year at that point. But they decided to do a secret ingredient competition. That's what we voted on, and we let the bar patrons pick the secret ingredient via like they submitted things, and then we pulled something out. So it was vanilla wafers. So you had to make a beer with vanilla wafers. So I made I went on Northern Brewers website, and I took the recipe for, I think, Surly's bended a bit, and did that with vanilla wafers, vanilla beans, and I used Nilla wafers actually, not vanilla wafers. Kevin's pointing that out to me. Yeah, I used vanilla wafers. No, actually, no, I don't know if I did. I think I might have bought some organic ones. I don't know. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I think we used Nilla wafers. Anyway, it ended up being the brewery's fastest selling beer when they released it in July. We got to brew a 3-barrel batch and put it out. And then to that point, that was their fastest selling beer that they had done. I went on to win the next 2 contests that we did. I think so. That one, the original one was BJCP rules. The next one, I think, was a strict competition, and it was Saison, whatever category at the time, and the guidelines was like strong. Like I feel like Golden Strong and Saison were in the same category or something. I can't remember, but but I ended up winning with the Saison with I brewed with I think honey and heather, and they did that up, and then we did another competition that was cherry beer. That was the point, and so I did a like a dark chocolatey portery stout kind of beer, and with a bunch of the King's Orchard concentrate in it. Actually, we did the same beer for Gang Beer a couple years ago, and we took second place because I knew I had a solid beer after coming off the winner there, and it's like, well, I already got a recipe that meets all the qualifications. Like,
yeah,
let's not argue with it. Let's just roll with it, right? And then whatever, we stopped doing competitions for a while. We did a few more, but we brought back the quarterly competitions because people just weren't brewing, and so it's just you get to pick the next thing that we're going to have a contest over.
Mm-hmm.
That's your prize nowadays. So
that's cool.
That is a cool idea. Yeah.
So
what about Suns? You guys do anything like that?
We've tried a few things. We've tried some quarterly. When I was president, we did some quarterly competitions, but we never got a lot of participation. One of the things that we were doing now in a collaboration with 4 other clubs is Celebrity Death Mash competition. and that's pretty fun. And we've been able to really encourage a lot of our members to join that. In the first year, we got, I think, 2 entries. The second year that Sons was involved with it, we had 6 entries, and 5 of the 6 actually placed. So we were pretty happy with that. And I'm involved with kind of coordinating that competition. So I've really been encouraging the people, even though I'm not a president or a sitting board member, I still really try to encourage members of the club to do the competitions, participate in different things, try to give them opportunities of what's going on. Things are a little tight right now with all the quarantine stuff, but we're so it's a little tough right now. But we've done that. We do other things we do is every year we try to do the Learn to Homebrew Day and the Teach a Friend to Brew Day every May and November. So that's always good. One of the other things we did is we rotate our in the past, we've rotated our location of our club meetings from Liberty Street, which is our base, to other local breweries around the area. And we go there, we ask questions of the brewers and the facilities, see what they're doing. And it's been really educational. It's a lot of fun to do that and see what other people are doing.
Yeah, we've also, I guess, when I was, president, vice president, etc. But we tried to, we did some BJCP style samplings discussion at some meetings. Sort of started doing some of those discussions, and then try to get more club members involved. We tried to promote like maybe an educational topic at each meeting, maybe asking for volunteers, maybe somebody come in and do a discussion on like yeast washing, or perhaps somebody, hey, here's my homemade stir plate type thing. This is how I made it. These are the components, just stuff like that. Try to, give people an idea what our members are doing and maybe make them aware of how easy some of the things were that they might not have in their brew house that they could easily include. Yep. Teach some new things like that.
Yeah, we definitely had a homebrew gadgets for one of the earlier meetings that we had, where people brought in, the occasional bit, even to show people like what a mash tun looked like. If people weren't quite familiar with it. I think a lot of people who were newer to the hobby found that quite useful, because we had quite a lot of feedback about that one.
Okay.
And plus it's simple to do, and everyone gets 5 minutes to talk, so people don't have to listen to me try to drone on for an hour and a half.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Keep it structured.
One of the other cool contests we did was you had to match up with another brewer and brew together.
Yep.
And then I think the beers were judged in combination with each other, and like the best set of beers kind of thing. But
so my role in Keepers is to try to come up with organize competitions or do that. And the one that I had thought of last year, I think we talked about it a bit, David, was doing like having brewers that wanted to participate submit their best recipe, and then maybe having another brewer pick it and brew that beer together, or you brew your best recipe and maybe I brew my best recipe, and maybe Brian takes the recipe and brews it and we can compare. We haven't done it yet. It's just an idea. I still have to fully flesh it out.
There's different ways you want to go with competitions. Kind of, it's like do you want it to be something fun, or do you want it to be something like sort of educational, right? Like BJCP competitions, I consider educational, right? You're getting the pro feedback, and you can take that and better your beer and kind of figure out what you did well, what you didn't. And then there's the stuff where you're just brewing with random ingredients and seeing if you're like the creative brew genius that you think you are.
Yeah, and sorry.
No, go ahead.
Well, as I say, you know, we've done things like the Canley Cup with Bright Eyes in town, who've invited keepers, club, and they're going to kill me. I forgot Suds. No, it's the South. Is Doug Schleitman on? No,
South County.
South County.
South County.
No. It's the. I think they're just I think they're just the South Michigan Homebrew Club or something like that. The meet in Gobles, I think. But the three of us got together and brewed a beer, and literally it was the first one to kick the keg won it, or the first one to kick the two kegs. You know, so we've done things like that with some of the local, homebrew clubs. So you know, the thing that Presidential have done as well, where they invite homebrewers in to brew on their system. So you get a little bit of you get the kudos, but you also get a little bit of bragging rights as well when you win those.
Right.
A little bit of friendly competition never hurts.
True.
One thing that I always, where you get to make a decision on what you're doing in a contest, and it's going to be how it's judged. I always try and take the seasonality of what's going on into account and make a beer to match that season.
Yeah,
and I think that ends up playing well. Like, don't make a heavy bourbon barrel stout in July. It's just not gonna.
Well, maybe though. Maybe it's just okay.
You might get your ass kicked by the brewed IPA. That's all I'm saying.
In addition to Sons of Liberty, I actually have a website that I created not too long after I started brewing called beerborg.com, and I've got a forum there with like 700 people on it. And one of the things that we were doing early on was we would do collaborative brews. Is two people randomly picked from the forum would create a recipe, and then they would both brew it and then send each other their version of it. And it was a really good opportunity for recipe creation and to see how the beers differed based on the brewing method or the way that people brew. And that really worked out really well. Unfortunately, people, kind of get away from it, and it kind of went to the wayside, but it's something that we're looking at resurrecting.
I just threw it out there, posted the link to it, found it. It looks like it's up. So yeah, that's cool. We'll check that out.
Yeah.
No, one thing I really like about joining a club, I'm not from here, but I've lived here about 15 years, is you get to make friends. I've made a lot of close friends. Homebrewers tend to be a pretty reliable group of people. We don't have just guys, even though it feels that way sometimes. One of our members just had a baby last week, so
awesome.
So yeah, that was pretty great. We're all excited for them, but so it's a good way to make friends in your community if you haven't if you're a transplant to that area. And I don't know about everybody else's clubs, but ours skew heavily. We got a lot of engineers, but we got some culinary people and things like that. So
people tend to drift to clubs that have more like sciencey interests too and stuff like that. Sometimes we have people that come to our club that like sometimes just brew mead or just brew wine or just ferment foods, and I don't want to. I guess I mentioned it earlier in the show too, but like sometimes there's like a little bit of a stigma maybe with like even joining a club to begin with, because it's like it's a bunch of strangers, right? So like how do you guys feel about that? Like, do you do anything to try to like welcome new members, like when you have a club event? Or
yeah, typically, I guess Leigh, if I could touch on that, we all of our meetings, we typically would have a meeting once a month, or monthly meeting once a month. We'd have at Liberty Street, meet in their upper hall, and then the next month we would try to meet off-site somewhere, whether it be a member's house for a brew collaboration, another brewery that would welcome us, some other event of some sort, just to not put all the burden on Liberty Street to host us. but also it'll get us out there to talk to other brewers, other facilities, and see what they do. Do Q&A with other brewmasters at the other breweries, things like that. And this and that. We'd also do like a pinball club thing once a year. But each meeting at Liberty Street, we would welcome guests to come in there, primarily due to the liability stuff. Going into another brewery without a paid member wouldn't be covered under our liability insurance. So we typically do that only at the Liberty Street meetings. And typically, first off, I think we like first or second on the agenda, we would basically ask if any new members or guests were in the crowd, and they are allowed to visit. People are allowed to visit, I think, up to 3 times per year of the club before them being like required to join or take 2 months off, I believe, before showing up again. So you can really show up and come to the meetings and share beer and things without ever joining. But we really kind of hope to, have them join, or don't come back for a couple of months just because it's not just a beer drinking event. It's of home brewing, educational, sharing ideas, things in that. But we did at the first part of the meeting, we'd open up the floor. Hey, any new members here or visitors? Hey, do you mind standing up and telling us about yourself, where you're from, how long you've been brewing, what style, what's your methods, all grain, intermediate, whatever. Give them time to speak and welcome them, or thank them for visiting, and then, and then go on with the rest of the meeting.
Yeah, I know a lot of our people that watch the show are home brewers or in the brewing community, so they probably know. But if anybody does pick this up on the side, there are rules and regulations and shit that we got to follow as a club. It's not just show up and get wasted or free beer. Or,
right.
Right. I think we have limits on how much we can pour and who we can serve to, and we have to carry insurance. So if you are not a homebrew club member, just be aware of that.
Yeah.
There's more fun and games.
Yeah. I think a lot of people would probably see through the AHA website, like find a club or things like that. They could search by their location to see if there's clubs in their area, to join or visit to see if they're interested in joining.
There's a lot of clubs in that index that I'm not sure exist or aren't just a couple guys in their garage.
Yeah.
Close outside.
Yeah, I went through that a couple years ago for MHF. I was emailing every single club in Michigan through that website address, trying to determine, interest from Michigan clubs, and I had like 17 kickbacks that weren't
doesn't exist.
Yeah, so, but I sent them that if the AHA sent them, hey, these clubs I didn't get the reply, so maybe, hey, they might not be valid anymore, but
just be wary if it's an AOL address.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I would do detective work and
or
check
Hotmail.
the website was active or whatever, but I didn't.
Hotmail or Yahoo.
Yeah.
I think that learn how to homebrew day is a big thing too. David, did we do anything last year specifically for that? I know Bell's does something every year, and I feel like we had some talks with maybe Nick at one point in time about doing some sort of collaboration thing, but there's a few breweries that tend to organize with homebrew clubs to do something like that, and I think we don't have a whole lot of influence, honestly, as a club. Like, you only have your own sort of internal sphere of influence, but a brewery posts something on Facebook that says, "Hey, we're gonna brew beer with you guys. Like come out and see how it's done." It's a big thing. So
we've had a couple of collabs with local breweries. I've got one of the breweries in town who they've actually stopped emailing me now, but they were emailing me every other month to basically say, "So when are we going to get together and do something?" So I need to follow up with that.
When the world isn't crazy anymore.
Yes.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Speaking of,
we've
go ahead.
I was gonna say we've for a while there we were doing like weekly Zoom things right at the beginning of this because people were bored and just needed somebody to talk to, and we were getting we were getting new people to show up to those meetings that probably would have never shown up in person, and so that was
you invited us.
Yeah, that's right.
well, yeah, that's definitely true. But we invited you guys because we like you guys.
But that's a good segue. What else have you guys been doing to deal with this shit during this pandemic? I mean, is it just been Zoom, or has there been anything else that you've been able to do? Or
we're trying to do an in-person distance thing outside somewhere. I felt it out there. I'm like, hey, you guys want to get together July 8th? And I got a lot of people that are like, no, I'm out of town. And nobody was like, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. It's like, okay, we'll try again later.
Yeah, we haven't done much as a club. I tried to throw out a video chat, video conference type thing out there a couple times. We got maybe half dozen people to join it, but we really haven't had much meeting time. This last Monday was the only a week ago was the only time that we actually met as a club during the pandemic. So
has anybody done any? We talked about doing like some beer trading or beer ferrying to do some, I think that's so I'll bring this in. One of the things I love about the club is being able to take my beer there and share it and get the feedback, and that's missing. And so we've talked about we did Big Brew virtually together, and that was cool. And then the guys that brewed that, they got together in a parking lot and kind of everybody got to trade. I didn't get to go to that because I was out of town or something, I think, that day, but they got to trade the beers that we brewed together on site to try that stuff. But I'd like to do some more of that, especially it seems like Whitmer's ramping this back up, so we might be in isolation a little bit longer.
Yeah.
I in Kalamazoo here, we have a local Facebook group. It's called Kalamazoo Beer Enthusiasts, and probably I think it was Friday or Thursday or something. I made a post and was like, because I have a ton of beer right now and I don't have anybody to drink it because I'm used to sharing it with everybody, and I don't want to drink all that beer by myself. And
I'll just leave it on my doorstep.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's basically what I did. I made a post. I was like, hey, I'm gonna bottle up 6 different 4-packs of beer. Does anybody want any? And within probably like 40 minutes or something, like I had them all claimed and drove around all of Kalamazoo and Portage and Vicksburg and dropped them off. And I made 6 new friends basically. A couple I already knew, but it's just like I don't know. Brewing beer like makes you friends, right? Who doesn't love beer, sort of? So
I took a road trip to Arizona and rented a Ford Fusion, and I had every nook and cranny of that car filled with beer for people.
Yes, I was traveling a lot during the first part of the year. So when COVID hit, I didn't have a lot of beer to trade and stuff. But I've watched Brian go around and share his beer out, and other people in the club, and I've been really pissed off that I haven't had enough. And then I finally brewed a keg, and I got it ready, and I kind of told a few people, and next thing you know, that keg blew like a week later. So
one thing that happened with us is we switched breweries that we were meeting at, and then our town here, we do a summer weekly or monthly first Wednesday of the month, which is when we meet. They do in the summer a Rock the Block, and they shut down the streets and have an outdoor concert. And they were like, sorry guys, you can't meet here because we need the space. And which was actually a really fabulous thing, because what it did is we started doing backyards and barbecues in the summer. And it's like, this is what we should be doing here.
Yeah.
Right.
Hold on, I have an invading cat.
We got a guy that is in a lot of wild game and stuff. So he's brings elk burgers for everybody and stuff like that. And some good eats.
So I just saw something pop up in chat. I'm going to call it out. It looks like we got Larry. Sandy loves seeing some upper hand. So Larry, I'm actually on my way up to the UP in a couple of days, and I'm hoping to swing through upper hand. So I'm gonna. I want to mule some back for my buddies, but I just found, or they just announced they're going to start distributing down here. Yeah. So
they did.
Man. Yeah. Last week they announced they're going to They're going to start distributing.
Yeah, like
Upper Hand
Thursday or
off of the
Friday
bridge.
they announced
Yep.
it.
Yeah.
Now that they put the beer on the truck after it comes and drops off bells up there.
It's just,
But yeah,
it's just
You
a
mean my-
circuit.
There's my selection from the last time up there, but
nice.
I'm reversed.
yeah. No, I see. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
good.
no, it looks
Double
good on the
ringer.
screen. Yeah.
This one's I don't know. This one might almost be like their version of almost a double hearted. I don't know, but 4-packs available. UP, if they come down here, make sure you pick them up.
Oh, there it is.
They are good.
September. They're going to be distributing
Oh,
down
there
here.
it is.
Thanks, Larry.
I think I saw a post like they were in Traverse City or something. They're slowly making its way down or something.
Yeah.
I don't want to call it out and make lies. So
We're heading up to. My wife and I with some friends, a couple of friends, were heading up to Pictured Rocks or Painted Rocks. Pictured Rocks.
Pictured Rocks.
Pictured Rocks next week or Friday. And that's what I was saying. It's like, man, I was there 2 years ago, and the only brewery up there was really like Upper Hand and Tequamanon, and now there's
Hereford and Hops. Hereford and Hops was in Escanaba. They've been there quite a while. It's like a steakhouse / brewery.
But I was talking to Deb at Tagabrew, and she's talking about quite a bit of new breweries that she's picked up there, and so I'm looking forward to the trip. Definitely gonna hit some Upper Hand.
There's Beeman something, I think, and
Beeman Barrel,
and Black Rocks and Q&A and what else?
Yeah,
I don't know. I went through and tried to follow every brewery in Michigan. I went to the Michigan Brewers Guild page and attempted to follow every brewery in Michigan on Facebook, just as a study of like social media marketing campaigns.
Sure.
And it's interesting how few actually really use that free tool. I mean, free in a way, tool to market themselves. Because, I just saw what Holmes did in terms of marketing. And, Holmes has got a very distinctive marketing campaign. I don't know if you guys follow that out there in Kalamazoo since you're out of the area, but
yeah.
But yeah, it seems like the stuff that people are searching for on the internet and waiting in line for are the places that have that good marketing campaign.
Yeah.
Yep. They also have decent beer. Let's be honest.
They do.
Yeah,
I'll be there Friday.
You're not going to do it with garbage beer. I mean, right? I got no complaints. But
it's it's nice to if they can find an easy way to market, and not have to depend on a distributor who may or may not be looking out for their best interests.
Right.
But
yeah,
that is always disappointing when you do some beer tours and you walk into a place and they got 4 beers, and it's like, that's it.
But
still,
they're all good.
Yeah, they're all good beers, obviously, right?
Yeah.
Maybe not.
Yeah. With all the breweries that we visited through our through the Sons of Liberty meetings, I think most of them have been pretty damn good. There's a few that we visited early on when they started, and it's like they're still working out kinks, and they've got some learning to do.
I'm convinced a lot of that's water.
Yeah.
They don't have a good understanding of water.
That in the bakery in the next room over.
You mean bakery?
But just a lot of them starting up. We're homebrewing now, just scaling up the recipes, things like that. But we always had questions when visiting a brewery. The brewmaster, hey, one of the questions always seemed to be, hey, what are you doing with your water? But it seems most of them were on the Detroit City water, which is pretty good in the first place. But still, to get the chlorine out, things like that. What are they doing to address that, or are they changing it per each style? Who knows?
We may have some people watching, that don't really understand like what you're talking about. So why is water so important? What's going on?
Oh, so.
We could go on forever, probably, but
David said something about working in the lab.
I'm sorry. No,
basically, putting you on the spot.
Yeah. Well, let's see what are the 4 basic ingredients of beer? Boom. You got what? Yeast, hops, barley, and water, right?
Right.
So the 4 ingredients, and the most abundant source or most abundant ingredient in your brew is water, right? So typically your Detroit Brew water, or excuse me, your Detroit City water, a lot of people have seen the water reports that are free online, or you probably receive one each year. That gives you ideas of things that are in your water that typically are basically health related. Make sure there's nothing bad for you in there in terms of chemicals or environmental microbes, things like that. But then typically the water report won't have all the ingredients that you're concerned about as a brewer. And I'll have to reference my how to brew manual here.
Almost none of them, right?
It actually is. But as you know, I know
What, you don't have the water book on hand?
Early on, like I was brewing, typically I'll start off. I've been using distilled water as of late myself, starting off with distilled and adding things simple like calcium carbonate for my IPAs, or starting off with reverse osmosis water for my mash, and then going with city tap water for my sparge. Excuse me, that's a big word there. But yeah,
another beer.
But I know a lot of people who are out there say, "Hey, I really like to get like that Guinness, the one they make overseas. How do I make that Guinness?" It's like, well, first you have to jet over there and get yourself 10 gallons of that pond out back that's got that duck swimming around in it, and whatever else, because that's their water source. And whether they treat it or not, we don't know. But so if you're gonna try to make a beer that matches a certain brewery's beer, you have to really sort of tinker with your water to get your profile the same as theirs. And there's books written on them. I'm sure everybody here has probably seen them and referenced them about water chemistry. And as home brewers, you can get as crazy about it or as simple about it. And I guess I choose the simpler route. There are some free apps out there. I believe some free spreadsheets available through, I think, on the internet that would help you manage your water. But again, that's as far as a homebrewer wants to take it. There is multiple sources to help you. Simple free apps. Well, there's some apps out there you can purchase for download. I guess I won't say any particular ones, or not promote anything without receiving a kickback. But yeah, obviously, water chemistry is a big part of your beer, and
yeah, it's a lot of styles evolved out of the water that was available, right? I mean, English bitter and
yep, yeah,
Pilsner and tons of beer came out of the water styles.
But to take it back, to how homebrew clubs can assist with that, we in Keepers, out of the kitty, we bought one of the water testing kits, which we have available to paid members, so they can test their own water, so they can get it's a rudimentary water report, but they can get their own numbers. And as part of that, I've been collecting a spreadsheet of all the results, so I could probably almost map the Kalamazoo area to see how the water changes.
Well, it's funny. It's listen to different things, and you got areas of the country where they got 4 different sources of water for their municipal feed, and so depending on the day, their water is different.
Yeah,
right.
You got a shallow ground well, and if it's rained a lot, it's going to change. So, the brewers around here that have wells have to go RO or distilled, because but the city water that comes from the Marshall Shale is excellent for brewing.
See, I'd flip that around, because I feel like I'm not trying to boast, but I'm a relatively okay or decent home brewer, and I brew with
got a few medals
with my artesian well water, which is amazing. And I fully believe that as soon as I sell this house and move and have to start using some actual city water, I'm going to become a shit brewer overnight. It's just the way it is. I brew the great beer that I brew because of my water.
It took me years to become a shit brewer, so overnight.
And then on the flip side, like we just talked about in our keepers meeting last night, I read a post on from a business in Portage, Michigan, that talked about Portage added a new well, and so they were like over treating everything. And I'm also a fish keeper or reef keeper, a marine thing. And there were posts out there about all these people losing their fish because Portage added a new well, and they were over chlorinating the system, and they were, combating to bring the levels back down. And we have another really good brewer in the club that brewed a beer for Homebrew Fest a few years ago, and it's a great beer. We've had it before. It's amazing. He brewed it real fast before Homebrew Fest. We brought it to Fest. We tapped it, and it was like drinking pool water. And I'm texting him. I'm like, "What the hell happened?" And he's like, "Portage flushed the hydrants." Or
do you guys use Campden or anything to dissipate the treatment?
I have the amazing well, so
and I use RO.
Yeah, I've done Campden.
Yeah. Yeah. When I do use city water in Livonia here, I do use Campden. Typically I use it for my sparge, just to bring back some of those nutrients, as I've read the yeast will need. So again, I'll mash with distill the reverse osmosis, but then I'll sparge with city water that's been treated with Campden.
Yeah,
help the chlorine drop out.
Like Kevin Penn used to live here in the city too, and he moved out to the country, and he's like, I'm brewing this Kolsch. Can I come over and get 10 gallons of water? You're like, yeah, sure. He's like, it's just not going to turn out unless I have city water for this thing.
Right. Yeah, so that's about what I know on what I don't know on chemistry, but yeah, big role.
Thanks, Jeff. Thanks for the education. I mean, water.
I didn't mean to go down that rabbit hole.
I don't know if I call it.
But I did pretty well then. I did pretty well, so
yeah. And you're locked kind of if you're a you're an extract brewer. You should probably use distilled water because if they didn't. I don't know what they're using at the, malt house to make that extract, but if they're not filtering the water, you've got a concentration of minerals in that malt extract that you already have to deal with.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you read Scott Janish's book as well, he says there's a lot about some of the hops and the yeast and things like that. That there's just by washing them that rather by the malt houses. Because obviously you have to add the water to the grains to malt them.
Sure.
He said that there'll be residual minerals and stuff on that as well. So if you think that that you're building up something from RO, you need to at least consider that there may be residual minerals on your grains on your malts as well.
To add to that, the people that might be asking why there would be there's pH targets probably that they're looking to reach, right? As far as mashing goes, so they're probably adding at least something into their mash before they create that wort and then dehydrate it.
All right,
stabilizers.
Yeah, or to stabilizers or something,
right?
Yeah, to get it into a range that's the most efficient for what they're gonna do. Before they dehydrate it.
A lot of us that have a good control on this process have given up on checking gravity and any of that stuff, and just like we're making beer, like just F it, like forget it, like we're just making beer.
Yeah. Yep.
It's the relax, don't worry, I have a homebrew thing.
It's like if your fermentation stalled, like what are you going to do about it, right? Like what are you really going to do about it? Probably you're just going to drink it.
There's always corn sugar.
I mean, Kevin says you can add Beano, but I mean,
yeah, alpha amylase in there, right?
If you really want to dry your beer out, I mean,
I think that's one of the greatest things about being like a homebrew. It's like cooking basically, except you get to get drunk afterwards.
Well, I like to tell people what I like about it is beer is infinite. You know, your combination of things, it's infinite possibilities.
Oh yeah.
So that's a good segue. We're trying to bring it back on track with the homebrew clubs. Which, if we've proven anything, Brian Jordan and I over the last few weeks, is we get off topic quicker than shit.
I've been trying to keep you back on topic.
Yeah,
no, I appreciate that.
We throw out a show on IPAs and wind up talking about fucking Berliner Weissens and stouts for 15, 20 minutes. So trying to bring this back. Where was I? Fuck, I don't remember. No. So I listened to a Brewlosophy podcast the other day, and they talked about having Some of the homebrew clubs they've been in having, like a tune-up corner or a BJCP. If you have a member in your club that's a BJCP cert that your members can bring your clubs to. Do you guys, any of you guys do anything like that? Because it really sounds neat to me.
We don't have the BJCP, but we started to do the featured beer, where one person brings a growler of their beer, and they stand up and they talk about it and they answer questions. So you don't get the full BJCP feedback, but you get a good 5-10 minutes to talk about it and then get feedback and just have these little side discussions and do just a quick verbal presentation about it.
Yeah, and again, back to my role in the club is I do try to put myself out there, and I know David does, and where we'll try the beer and give feedback, honest, open feedback. I know one of the challenges to drinking even your friend's homebrew is to get that open feedback. You give your best buddy a bottle of your swill, and he's going to be like, yeah, I love it, man, it's great, but that's not helping you.
Yeah.
And so I preach that at the meetings, and we try to get together and do that. And David's right, we do the featured beer. I guess that ties into it a little bit, but
I like that idea of the featured beer.
Yeah.
So there isn't there's never a particular style that they're focusing on. It's just that who's got 2 beers that they're prepared to talk about next month.
Right.
And we've been trying to introduce maybe even an anonymous feedback, or something like that too. Like some people, it's awkward to give beer feedback, honestly, especially to people that you really like sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, and some people aren't very good at taking,
and some people aren't good at taking it. Yeah,
at taking honest feedback, and some of it could be that perhaps we're being too frank in our feedback.
Yeah,
But a discussion we had yesterday was the fact that perhaps we don't have the proper kind of odd that I've forgotten the word.
like a judging sheet, perhaps, or to compare the rest of the style to, or
vocabulary. There we go. That's why I said it was ironic, but I couldn't remember it.
Yeah.
It's the fact that some of us don't have the best vocabulary to describe what we like or what we don't like about a beer. So sometimes it can be difficult to give that kind of, to get that feedback, or even to give that feedback. If it's something that I'm not very good at picking up on, I might turn around and say, "Yeah, there's something about it." But
it's easy to know whether you like it or not, but it's hard to say why.
Yeah. Just say if you brought it in, hey, I create a robust porter, okay, and does it meet the bitterness? Does it meet the color? Is it too hoppy? Did I miss the target there? Or, but I see with the brew club, the members on hand, we're more open to say, yeah, it's a bit off in this regard, it's, maybe could be used a little more of this, or it's too much that. I found that, obviously the brew club members know much more than asking Joe Public or my buddy, who just enjoys having a 6-pack here and there. But the people are aware of the styles and things and know, hey, it's a little peanut or like a little, we call it, there's off flavor there. So you got an infection, which is like a, big no, but just people picking up on those things where other people might not know.
Yeah, perhaps it might be useful to have like a kind of an IPA expert or a stout expert or whatever it is that somebody could go to and say, well, look, not that I'm saying it's like, let's say Jason would be the stout expert, then Jason has to drink 6 shitty stouts. Because nobody wants to make a shitty stout.
Uber home.
There's no shitty beer. There's only beer that can be better next time. Right?
Yeah.
Right.
At several meetings, I'm not a BJCP judge by any means, and I like my beer. I like different beers, but at our club meetings, a lot of times a new brewer will bring a beer in, and what do you think about this? And just having been a brewer for as long as I have now, I can pick up on certain things, but a lot of times, it's like I'm tasting something, I'm not quite sure what it is. And one of the nice things about being in a club and being at a meeting like that is I can go, I'm not sure. There's something up with this beer. Let's go ask so-and-so who's a BJCP judge and see what he thinks or she thinks. And, it's really nice to be able to bounce those ideas and kind of get that round robin about a certain beer, that someone brews. Because I've done that. I brought a beer in and I'm like, there's something not right with it, but I don't know what it is.
Yep.
And, it's like, and taste it and tell me what you think and be honest. And I think that's that has probably helped to make me a better brewer over the years, is just getting that feedback and saying, what is it that's not working here? What, and then, okay, well, why is that happening? Why is it, why are you having this certain flavor? And then trace it back to your process and figure that out. And, was it the water? Did I forget, did I neglect to treat the water? Did I, not let it ferment all the way out, whatever. And it's really helpful. That's one of the best things that I love about going to the meetings is taking a beer, having people try it. What do you think? And sometimes I've had a beer that I thought really was pretty good. And I get to the thing and they start saying, well, it's got this, it's got that. And I'm like, oh, shit. But I'm thankful because then it makes me a better brewer and I know what to watch out for next time.
I remember a gentleman bringing a two-hearted clone to our club meeting, and he's like passing around. I forget if he was asking if there was something wrong with it and asking questions, asking about the process. And I'm like, what was the last thing you brewed before this? And he's like, oh, I did a Saison for the contest. And it's like, yeah, you got a yeast infection going on here.
You gotta learn to clean your shit.
So the Two-Hearted had quite the Saison-y tinge to the whole thing. And,
there's nothing wrong with an IPA with a bit of Brett character.
It's like, I am no Two-Hearted expert, but I can tell you this isn't Two-Hearted.
It is good feedback, Leigh. When we really got going in Keepers, I think I started preaching to try to get people to enter more competitions because I felt like that's the best way to get that unbiased open honest feedback, right? Is throw your beer in and let some random BJCP judge tell you is it shit or not, and I've used that feedback to make my beer better for years. And so I actually do a presentation on brewing for competitions, and it's not, I like getting the bling and the shit like that. But really it's to get better beer and to get that feedback and trying to foster that in the club, I think, and giving the people the power to openly tell you your beer sucks to your face.
Well,
we haven't. Sorry, Paul, you go. I've spoken enough.
Is back a long time ago, like when I first got started, I got some good scores, and so I was chasing medals for a little bit, not real hard, but it was you could have the same beer in a real short period of time, 2 different competitions in 2 different states, and you could have 15 different points differences between the judges in one state and another. You
could. But it's a shotgun approach, right? You definitely.
I guess I'm saying don't get frustrated if
right
you get bad feedback. And
I do have a friend that entered that first competition and got like really vague feedback and got really upset by it and got jaded on the whole thing. And I'm like, I can't tell you how many times I've gotten feedback that just says this beer's good.
One of our guys
$15 for this.
Right.
One of the guys in our club did a New England and it went on to the second round of NHC. And you look at the score sheets and it's like, looks like dirty dishwater and like all this nasty stuff. You'd think it was like disgusting. And it's like, you went on to the second round.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
go ahead, David.
Well, we've tried a couple of our, in a couple of our meetings, when we have our little competitions, we've tried things that would be a simple, do you like this beer? Thumbs up, thumbs down. We've even had stickers where like a gold star or a bronze star kind of thing.
We did that for a competition.
Yeah, and we've also tried to do people getting together in a small group and doing a BJCP style type feedback
without being certified.
Yes, yeah. So we use it like as a template at least, and we found successes in some of them, and so I'm just wondering if if you guys have found I'm assuming if there was a foolproof way to give structured feedback that everyone would be doing it.
We do a simplified BJCB sheet for our club contests now.
Yep.
And I can tell you people are a hell of a lot more honest on those sheets than they are to your face.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do you leave them anonymous? Or
we leave them anonymous. Sometimes people write their names on them, but
sure, optional.
I do a lot of the stewarding, and I look at some of the comments, and some of them I'm like, I think some of the people are just being nasty.
Yeah, you're pissing your cornflakes. Yeah.
For the most part, they're positive comments. They're like, I tasted this beer. There was nothing wrong with this beer, and like,
there are people.
It's like 20 points, and
yeah.
So on that point, Paul, Kevin Penn put this comment earlier. Says he treats a drink beer like Gordon Ramsay eats risotto at our club meetings. So you're saying,
is it just my hotel Wi-Fi, or is Jason really bad?
No, I'm probably really bad.
I remember a club meeting where Kevin Penn, I think it was Kevin Penn, maybe it was Nate, but Kevin Penn, I think, brought in a bunch of kimchi, and I think we were having a contest that night. And it's like, what are you doing?
Yeah. But, Leigh also brought up some good points. I'm looking at comments, and TK brings this up too, is it's good to tell somebody that your beer sucks, but to be able to break in and actually find out why your beer sucks,
Right.
I remember we talked to Matt last meeting or whatever, a buddy, Matt McClellan in our club, started brewing some porters that were a little thin. And we talked about, things he could do to improve mouthfeel or, the color and stuff like that. And he was really, he's done I think won a medal with it, right, Brian?
I think so.
Yeah. So being able to dial in the beer like that and actually give feedback on what you can do to correct your process is really valuable part of being.
We've had people that'll bring a beer in and take that feedback and improve upon it, and then bring the next version of that same beer to the next meeting or the next couple meetings, and and improve it, and then it really speaks to that community, having a community to really bounce things off of. Because if this person just took it to their wife or their friend or their neighbor or whatever, they don't have the mindset to really tell them what they need to know to improve. When you're talking about when you have a bunch of home brewers together and you're all in the same mindset and the same kind of idea, it really helps to get people and get the feedback that you need.
Yeah, nothing feels better than having a really experienced person tell you your beer is perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That happens all the time.
Wouldn't change a thing.
Yeah.
I've had a couple where I was really happy with the beer and I thought it was really darn good. And of course, you're working the meeting, you're letting guys taste it, and you're avoiding that one guy because he's got the background and the nose, and like darn, he makes his way toward you. Oh, let me try it. Like no,
he's the beer prick.
Yeah,
we had a gentleman from another club that tasted one of our sours at that. Leigh, were you at that group meeting that we had at Brewery Becker?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we did a 3-club meeting at Brewery Becker and Brighton.
Yeah.
And one of the guys brought our sour from our sour barrel, and one of the guys in the 3rd club tasted it, and he was complaining, listing all these bad things about it, and I think at the end he said, "But it is the best beer I've had in a while." But
I know exactly who that was too.
And I think he might be a Grandmaster BJCB judge, but
right. Yeah, but it's an opportunity to learn, and we'll take positive criticism or constructive criticism is always appreciated. And I learned a few things and adjusted my methods a bit over time, and a lot of it maybe was water based before. Going on later on temperature controls during fermentation, things like that,
Right.
to get the right fermentation. But yeah, it's depending on how, if you have a member come in who's relatively new and they're doing extract brewing, they're using city water, it's, oh gosh, you're not using Nottingham, are you? But they go the cheapest route possible. You're hey, you're gonna get some odd taste and things, but expect that, and maybe down the road try something different, and you'll see how the changes affect your outcome, and learn like we did.
And I think that's a great point too. Like, if you're a new brewer, joining a club is a great way to experience progression, maybe, in what your beer could become. Because there's all sorts of skill levels producing all sorts of different qualities of beer, and people bringing them and getting their feedback. And if somebody gives you their beer and it's like, oh my God, I would pay like $8 for a pint of this, and it's something that they have just 5 gallons of sitting on tap at home, like, you can make that. Yep. It's just knowing how. And so gaining that knowledge and asking those questions and having that feedback loop, like what was mentioned earlier, is so important. Yeah, that's great.
So I want to give Sons a minute to call out. You got somebody asking. They're located in Detroit, looking for homebrewers in the area. Yeah. So where are you meeting? When's your next meeting?
Well, COVID-19.
COVID-19, yeah, had to affect on all of us, as well as the homebrewing community at large.
But
we've had discussions about we've tried to do remote meeting, limited participation recently. Had a poll out there on our webpage. Perhaps we could hook them up with our webpage address, our website, www.solhbc.org, I believe, or is it .com? .com.
Are you guys on Facebook too?
But I didn't get it posted in the comments.
And we have our Facebook page, which is really active.
Yeah, and unfortunately, there's obviously we have members, just like any section of society. People are hyper concerned, people are not so concerned, people are concerned.
Sure.
So it's difficult to say, we're going to have a social distance meeting at the park, and then expect 25% attendance and not get it. So it's been tough to plan a meeting. Especially with the up down cases, things that have been going on, the spikes and the positive testing, things like that. So we're as concerned as anybody else is about that. And the last thing we want to do is somebody to get ill or make somebody uncomfortable about the environment they're being placed in. So we're thinking about safety first, and trying to go forward. So perhaps we'll do the club online meeting, a virtual meeting again. Hopefully, as the summer goes, the numbers will decrease and we'll be able to meet in person again. But at this point, it's very, very hard.
Yeah.
To, do anything as from a lead, not even a presidential position role, but to make a decision to say, we should get together when obviously it's not safe yet.
Yeah.
One thing we've been doing on our Zoom stuff, we haven't had a Zoom meeting in a while. I felt like people are getting kind of burnt out a little bit because, meetings are kind of noisy and they got a lot going on, but so the Zoom allows us to slow down. I've been interviewing each of the club members. We've been going through the list and talking about their background, talking about how they got started, and I had a whole list of questions. So we'd spend 20 minutes interviewing a person about their background and all that stuff, and I just found it's a little better way to get
that's cool,
to know each other, because some of us have known each other for a long time, and other people hardly know you. And so you might find overlapping hobbies in other areas, and
right.
Depending on how long this goes for, one thing I was thinking of for our club was like a sort of breakout rooms. Maybe you have like a sort of 45-minute, 30-minute club call, and then there's predetermined rooms available after that if people want to talk about beers that they had shared with people prior to the meeting, or a question, like a Q&A, like of a particular topic or something. So like you said, it's hard when it's only one person talking at a time.
Yeah.
But if you can make like breakout rooms where maybe a couple people are talking still and have it being a club event, that might be something.
Yeah, Facebook offers that now. So.
Oh, do they really?
Yeah. Facebook did rooms about 6 weeks ago, I think.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's great.
That sounds about right.
Zoom has it, and I've thought about that too. Like, it'd be cool if, if we got to the point, if we do have to do this for much longer, which we probably do have to put up with it for at least a few more months. But we've talked about getting beers passed out. I just brewed this milkshake IPA, so I'm gonna maybe take 15 bottles to a central location and let people come pick it up.
Right.
And then maybe I can pop a room out and we can talk about it or drink it together. Trying to come up with some ideas like that.
It's an idea. Have at least have your beers available for your club members to sample and share their thoughts on it.
Well, that's what we did with our big brews, because some people followed the AHA competitions. Somebody just brewed whatever it is they fancy brewing. I just tried to use ingredients that I already had. I wanted it to be a true quarantine brew, so I brewed using whatever ingredients I just had knocking about the house. I didn't go out and buy anything for it. I just raided the cupboard.
10 ounces of Magnum.
I'm kind of an ingredient hoarder.
Yes.
And so
Right.
I got guys like, you got stuff like when guys like, you got stuff for a black IPA and or not IPA, it was a black lager, and I'm like, let me see, and it's like, yep, I got everything. Like,
yes, I do.
So it looks like Jackson asked another question. I of course he's in your area, so Sons, do you guys encourage group to follow your BJCP, or do you guys like the experimental beers? Do you guys really care?
Well, typically, when I first started my brewing, I was doing intermediate or extract, brewing, and I really enjoyed Fat Tire, So I was trying to make a Fat Tire clone with extract, Detroit City water, and just give me whatever yeast was available. So in that case, I came close, but then you start looking at the styles. It's like, well, I could call this, a different beer if I tweak something, or hey, I want to bump up the ABV, or I want to change the happiness. But then I got more into customizing my beers as I found myself liking more hoppy IPAs, and I found that my bitterness was way off the scale for some of the BJCP guidelines. But at the same time, I followed the malt profile. I followed perhaps the hop addition profile. But I take liberties in other areas to, I guess, vary on a certain recipe and come up with something unique. It was good. Hey, try to repeat it. Take good notes, because then if you like it, you want to be able to repeat it.
Yep.
But if you're trying to enter competition, a beer for that, then I think you definitely would probably be a little more, concerned about the guidelines. But I've always, I'm personally, I brew for what I enjoy drinking, And
I think Jeff and I are alike in that aspect. We brew for what we like to drink. I'm not as concerned with BJCP as a lot of the members. Although, I encourage people to enter their beers into competitions and get that feedback, that we talked about earlier.
But thankfully, there's an experimental category. So, goddamn it,
Right.
every beer you brew can go into a competition.
Yeah,
fit it in.
And then some beer you do brew, if you're using one of the beer making apps that are available out there, that you follow that to the T, and you come up with you use some darker extract than what you really should have used because it was what was available. Well, now your color is really too dark to fit that one category. Well, hey, maybe it fits this other category perfectly. Yep. And, so there if you want to enter it under that category, you probably score higher, for the color aspect of it, but it's still the same beer that you start off with, basically.
Yeah. And Jason has that in his brewing for competition beers. It's like, just because you try to brew, this style of beer, you know what? You've probably made more no, it's probably more.
Yeah.
It's probably more a stout than a porter, for example. So even though that intercept in the Venn diagram is so huge, you'll probably do better if you came here, or don't enter it as a barrel aged beer if it's a. I think it was Jason when it. Don't enter a barrel aged beer if it's a bourbon barrel aged beer, because you'll.
Well, that was just a flat fucking mistake.
Yeah, but you have that you have that in your presentation, so that's something else that you can kind of share that knowledge as well.
Yeah,
and also to share the happy accidents and then the not so happy accidents.
Yeah.
Basically, say this is how you can basically do things better than I did when I tripped up because I'm a clown shoe.
I did a wheat IPA years ago. With a lot of Nelson and Galaxy fermented with a Belgian strain and Brett, and entered in a contest, and that was a feedback like, you probably shouldn't have put this in the clean beer clean beer category. Like, I think I got a 36 in the IPA category, and that was the comment, like, you probably would have won something if you put this in the breaded beer category. But like,
right. Well, that was my thing. Like David made the fun of is I had the last 3 bottles or 4 bottles of a bourbon barrel aged Russian Imperial Stout that was amazing that I brewed 4 years ago, and I sent it to nationals in the wrong damn category.
Oh man!
So there's a huge fucking difference between 33A and 33B. Whether that's a barrel aged or a wood aged, or no, I'm sorry, experimental or wood aged or something like that.
One is just oak, and one is oak that was soaked, or wood that was soaked in liquor beforehand.
Yeah, so that I get feedback,
wine, whatever.
I get feedback from nationals that say, if I would have put this in B, it would have scored 10 points higher. So,
yeah, I think somebody was asked me advice last year. Should I enter this into the IPA or Pale Ale category? I'm like, do both.
Yeah,
yeah. I've done that before.
It did well in both.
Yeah.
My very first entry into the Michigan Homebrew Festival, I think I entered an IPA into Pale Ale. I'm sorry, Michigan Beer Cup.
I was going to clarify, Michigan Beer Cup, not the Homebrew Festival.
I'm like a couple beers in now.
You got a sensitive group here, buddy.
But yeah, no, I got golden
Slam
IPA
is kind of
and
taken
silver and pale, so it's like
yeah.
No, I did it last year. Michigan State Fair started up their competition again, and I entered my stout in 2 categories and placed in both. So look at all these. I'm still sticking with homebrew. So
I know.
So here's
I'm 4 hours away from any homebrew.
Homebrew.
Oh, mine's downstairs still.
Oh, downstairs. I'm 4 hours away from my homebrew.
I've got my citronella IPA in a keg in my keezer, and I had to put a shorter dip tube on it because there was too much sediment, and I haven't swapped out the dip tube, and it started foaming on me. So I'm like,
that reminds me of a story.
here we go.
I was first.
Reminds me of high school.
I'll be back later.
I did a clone of Left Hand's milk stout, and I had gotten a ton of powdered peanut butter on clearance, and I added it to the keg. And I was new to kegging at that point in time, and of course the keg doesn't serve. So I got a new dip tube, and I kept chopping it off and chopping it off and chopping it off, and couldn't get the thought never occurred to me. Just rack it into a new keg. Like, that never occurred to me. And finally, I ended up dumping it. I'm like, I'm sure I've infected it by now. But it was just like, the dip tube was about that long. Because when you put 4 pounds or 5 pounds of
like a gel.
But I kind of do weird stuff with everything, and sometimes it comes out, sometimes it doesn't.
Don't ever add gelatin to your beer when racking, because that'll create a problem.
Yeah.
Please don't. Yeah,
I've done gelatin once in cold crashing.
That's right. No, it's
proteins.
Think about your vegetarian friends.
I think I used the
Biofine.
gelatin, the vegetable-based gelatin.
Pectin. No, just use Biofine. Biofine's great.
Biofine. Yeah.
I've used Biofine and gelatin. They both.
Wait.
eventually
Is the
good to
Biofine the plastic?
It's it's colloidal silica. So no.
Go back
some-
to the lab. Go back to the lab, David.
I will.
That's right. Ask the scientist a question. There you go.
Well, he literally did ask me a question. And also,
No, wait. Doesn't David have to add fish bladders to his beer?
Oh.
Powdered fish bladders.
I just want to say thank you to Brandon for answering Kenneth's question as well about looking for Michigan Homebrew. But because
Tim Lee asked for it. Brandon threw the link out for AHA, so thanks for that, Brandon. Brandon is a very active member of Keepers of Craft.
He's quite a new member as well.
And a new member, but what a great fucking brewer.
Yep.
But no, David's our also, as our president and vegetarian. I always think of that like, God damn it, I can't use gelatin.
Well, you can. I just won't drink it.
But I want you to drink it. So.
No, wait. But will he extend that if you made an oyster stout?
I would tell him, yeah. But then I almost feel like sometimes, David, if I did that, you'd have to try it because you make me try your stupid, shitty smoked porters. So
I don't make you. I don't make you do anything. You do it and then you complain about it.
Well, I remember that was the story. Whatever, I can't remember what stout Victory was making, but somebody was making hot sauce and saying it was vegan, and they ended up changing it, or maybe they were using Guinness originally, and Victory ended up coming up with a changing what they were doing so they had a vegan product so they could make their continue making their hot sauce.
Guinness is vegan. Guinness is vegan now.
Now, after
Guinness has been
180
vegan for
years.
about 3 years.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but yeah, I guess veering back onto the freeway
Back on the Homebrew Club, yeah.
club discussion. But I think that in the club environment, not everybody knows everything, but everybody's got a chunk of knowledge that they might be able to answer a question that 75% of people don't know, and a certain portion might know it. So it's just like the wealth of knowledge within the club there, and then the whole brewing community on the forums, the brewing forums, AHA forums, whatever. New brewers, there's answers out there to your questions, and again, I don't know everything. I know some things. I've forgotten a lot that I used to know. I just know I do it a certain way for a reason. I may forget exactly why, but that doesn't hurt to have a brewing book. Maybe not this one, cover the title, but
that's a good book, though.
Yeah,
a good book to help guide you and get you started. And then people have brewed. I've made mistakes, and I learned from it. And we all have knowledge to share. But new brewers, don't be afraid to ask.
I think that's a great segue into why you should be in a club, because you're right. We don't all know everything, but all of us know something. And
right.
I'll say, like, the first time I went to a club Big Brew Day and watched 15 different guys brew in 15 different ways, and it blew my mind. It's like, what the fuck? This is you do it that way, and why do you do it that way? And so I would say, especially for Jackson, other people out there, maybe kind of that are looking for clubs, join, but be open-minded and willing to learn new things. We're not. There are clubs out there that are very cliquey and know-it-all-y, but I don't think any of us are. If we've hung out, we've all hung out together multiple times, and
I can be.
Well, David, fuck David. David's also, yeah.
And I don't think clubs are cost prohibitive either to join a club. I mean,
no, the hobby is.
Ours is maybe is it 20 bucks?
$20
or something annual pro rate.
15. Yeah.
If you join in what's our October is our annual date, whatever. So if you join in like May, you're half price, $10 for the rest of the club year, whatever.
What's yours, Paul? What's Livingston?
We just it used to be 20, and we upped it to $40, because I mean I was subsidizing a lot for Homebrew Fest,
good point.
And spending a lot of money. I mean, I think last year I spent $400 out of pocket on stuff. I know, Jason, you've spent money out of stuff, and
it depends on what your club's involved in, what you want to do. Are you investing in glassware for your club, and
But one thing we started to have finally after a long time was we actually started to have equipment that club members could check out and use if they wanted to have, last year we put together 3 boxes that can hold 5 kegs that are insulated.
That's great.
With all the hardware and stuff. So you're having a backyard barbecue and you want to have 5 beers on tap, just ask for a box and it's yours. So we upped it to just help improve that stuff. So it wasn't necessarily all held in private hands, that it could be, easily.
I've threatened before, if people want to borrow the club bar, they got to keep it in their garage for a few months. But
I think that's fair.
But I don't have a garage, so.
But no, you're right. But it's funny. I was listening to that Brewlosophy podcast last week, and they were talking about all these California clubs. They're like 40, 50, 60, and then here, Keeper's like, well, we're charging 15 and Sons are charging 20. I get 40, so maybe guys, we need to up our costs there.
Well, the problem is at the moment we've been pretty tight with doing. We have some stuff available. We now have a little bit more money in the tank, so we can start to. I'm hoping that Patrick's no longer on the line, because otherwise he's going to start getting angry. But
clubs.
No, Patrick says we're flooding. We're flush.
For us putting together
with cash.
We're a young club.
Yeah.
We really didn't have much. I don't know if we started in 2012 or 13, but it was pretty small. There's only a couple people around then. But we put together that 2-barrel portable brew house because I found a phenomenal deal on brewing vessels. We got the 3 stainless vessels and we got 4 stainless vessels for $300. I mean, it had some hardware, but by the time we threw more hardware at it and all that, all that cost money, and that kind of cleaned out our funds. So, but how many clubs have a 2-barrel portable system?
That's true.
That came in handy when we did that collab.
Yeah, that time lapse I showed at the beginning, that was Livingston's rig. You guys got together and brewed on that, or we got to brew on it for you.
Kevin brings up a good point that he just said here is you got 12 meetings a year that you get to go drink a night for free. Right? So $40, that's not a lot for 12 nights out of drinking.
A lot of clubs too have affiliations with local homebrew shops, maybe too, and they'll offer 10% off.
Yep. Yeah, you see a lot of some of the homebrew supply shops will discount for club membership, and that, if you have an agreement with them. I know AHA's got a policy if you for member discount for brew club members. If you something about, I don't want to delve into too far, but there's some money to be saved in different areas. Yeah. But a new club, if you're in an area where there are no clubs, maybe consider searching for other brewers on the Homebrew Talk website, whatever. There's other apps out there to maybe start a club. And just like I was involved very earlier, we had very little funding to start up, and so we did a lot of scratching and clawing and taking free stuff to build our bar for the MHF. And now we're more established, a decade in at least, and we have some money in the coffers. But what to do with it now? Do you want to invest in club logoed wearables? Sell them back, just break even, just to get our members to have more wearables, more glassware, things like that, but still have a positive balance. There you go. Just ways to what to do with it, and then invest in equipment, things. We bought some stuff. We bought some bulk brewing equipment off some members who are getting out, whatever, and keep that on hand for everybody who might need to borrow it. And it's it's not about having a huge coffer, but hey, money to support your brewing efforts and help your co-members brew better beer. That's what it's all about.
I will say, I think we had last year 29 beers on draft simultaneously.
It was nuts.
And so we've that. It's like, well, I can ask you to tear apart your teaser for the weekend, or you can just cough up a little more money.
Yep.
we'll buy some stuff.
The first year that we got keepers to come to Homebrew Fest, I built the bar. I didn't care. I'm like, this is what I want. I want to bring these guys in.
I remember when you guys showed up.
Yep, I built that bar. I got them to come in, and then we got some interest. And then I think, what was it, David? 2 years later, I said, let's build a new bar, and had all these great ideas for it, and put it out there on Facebook page. And then I don't know what, 15 people showed up at my
15,
house.
20 people. Well, that was the day of the flood as well.
Yeah, the flood in my basement. Thanks for bringing that back. But they did that. I was super impressed. I was like, this is cool. Before, I built that first bar in the garage by myself, and but then we put it out there, and I got people to come to Homebrew Fest, and then everybody shows up, and One Well's donating shanks and taps, and somebody else donated tubing or whatever. It's fucking great.
I had a 4-foot folding table, borrowed jockey box, and 4 beers for our first year at Groveland Oaks. That was our first year. The last year it was at Groveland Oaks, and we looked pretty sad, I just have to say. But it was such an awesome experience. For we got to come back, and we got to do something. Yeah. And so I built our big bar that weighs a ton. And
I saw you last year with 29 taps, and I go back to David, and I'm like, fuck this, we're building jockey boxes.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, I saw your glass washers, so I stole that idea for our bar.
Oh yeah. Our glass washer is based on yours.
That was funny. We had the glass washers I came up with, and then the next year everybody had glass washers.
Hell yeah.
We didn't follow that trend. We just do it the old-fashioned way. We spit in them.
Yeah. I didn't spit in them initially.
Sons, the thing that pisses me off about Sons is you guys cook up some food.
Oh yeah,
I'm floating around your bar, and there's all this barbecue and.
Hey, that brings up a really good point, though. I mean, homebrewers are some of the most generous, sharing people you're going to run across.
Oh yeah,
mm-hmm.
I mean,
undoubtedly.
Yeah, it's nice to have the ability to create something that people enjoy, and then a lot of people who do the home brewing, they're avid barbecuers. They enjoy smoked products, either cheese or meats or whatever.
Sorry, you're upsetting David.
No, on the same thing. Yeah,
barbecues.
Not the barbecues, but David and I started Kalamazoo hot sauce enthusiasts.
Oh yeah.
Just because of the fermented, and actually, Dave, that's the topic of the next club meeting is fermented foods.
If I get around to finishing it.
If you get around to finishing it.
It's only taken me 2 months so far.
Yeah, I mean, Kevin made a bunch of pickles one year, and they went over big.
Oh, yeah. Kevin's pickles were amazing.
Well, we've been doing a hot sauce bar.
I actually have to blame Jeff because before we went to Homebrew Fest, and he started bringing smoked food, and he does a sausage thing too. It's like I never knew what barbecue was, honestly. I mean, that stuff was just freaking amazing.
Yeah, it's nothing like having it's easy to have a smoker out there and have it. It's nice to have samples of decent meats or whatever while people are sampling your beer. Hey, beer pairing with your dish would be a nice idea in the future. Yep. So, but
and so I've ended up spending money on numerous smokers over the last few years because of Jeff.
I don't know the guy's name in your club that was last year. He was doing all the corn and the pork chops and.
Oh, that was
Dave.
Dave?
No, it was
or
Dave. It wasn't
Carol?
you, Lee. I know you, Lee, but it was
Dave and I were doing all that corn and.
Yeah.
Dave kept sneaking me shit.
What kind of shit was Dave's?
Oh no, like.
Yeah,
that's a valid question, Paul.
I had pork in 4 different forms that day. There was bacon, sausage, pork chops, and I think I had some they call it pork loin too or something. It's like I had every form of pork there was, except for the cracklins.
Yeah.
But
I just remember being like a deer in the headlights when Dave offered me something organic that I could recognize.
organic. that could mean a lot of things there.
Wow,
It was
something's organic. I'm like, no.
it was homegrown, that's for sure.
I'm sure it was.
Oh, okay. All right. It's medicinal.
Oh, good Lord. I was going to try to avoid
It's all
homebrew
legal in
festival.
Michigan now.
Yeah, but you do tend to. We have a lot of members. As our clubs, we have teachers, engineers, production workers, things like that. All avenues of skill sets and people with different experiences, but all have the basic love of beer and creating things. Then you find that along with that desire to homebrew, they may have an interest in gardening, may have an interest in smoking meats, may have an interest in, fermenting cheese, pickles, cheese, things like that. So all sorts of things that are along the lines of dealing with fermentation. They find that there's other interests that they have also, and they'll bring those things to our meetings to sample, and maybe you'll take an interest in that too, and you'll start making cheese or pickles or whatever, and like you need another hobby, right? But
it's honestly what David and I got into we connected over hot sauces, started Kalamazoo Hot Sauce Enthusiast. And for some fucking reason, 2 weeks ago, we decided to get together and eat Carolina Reaper.
The Dorset Lager. No, I'm Viper rather.
Oh, yeah, no. So, David, I'm like, hey, I got some Carolina Reapers. Let's get together and eat those online, on stream. And then David shows up and says, well, here's a Naga Viper. Let's eat this as an aperitif.
Sort of cleanse the palate.
Yeah. So, just to get us ready. It did not. No. So if you're on Facebook and you want to join Kalamazoo Hot Sauce Enthusiasts, you can watch David and I eat Naga Vipers and Carolina Reapers, and then one of us puke off their deck. Yeah, it's great. It's fucking great. Daiquiri fountain. That's right.
That's something that you guys wearing like GoPros for that or something, so it's on your head.
I had a good friend that was willing to shove a camera in my face and film it but I was hurling over the deck, thumbs up. You know what? I don't regret it. I would do it again.
Well, we will do, because I've got that pepper mash, which will
fuck yeah,
destroy you.
It's fun. It's fun working our bar because Kevin always does the alcohol infused.
Oh, the ghost pepper vodka was fucking. And
I think
dangerous.
some of
The fruit vodka.
He's had Carolina Reapers and crap
fruit
like
vodka,
that. Fruit vodka and bourbon and
yummy.
whatever. But
I don't know that I brought it to Homebrew Fest, but I did a chipotle pepper porter.
I did a ghost pepper stout.
I think you guys always have pepper beers over there.
We did. We had one for a couple of years there.
You guys did a gang beer that was a pepper beer, right?
Yeah, we did a gang beer with the hell was it? God, that was the year after the saisons. Remember those saisons we did?
I think you guys beat us with the pepper beer, maybe.
Can't remember what the heck it was now. It was habaneros. That was habaneros, I believe.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Was that the mango habanero?
Yep. Yeah, mango, habanero, and ginger?
Yeah.
Something like that. But yeah, it was pretty good. But yeah, I had some reflux problems for a few days after that one. It tore me up.
Remember we joke when Kevin had his ghost pepper pale ale or something like that. We're like, you might want to take a ice cube in the outhouse with you.
Yeah. So thankfully, in our pepper eating exposition last week, all of mine came out. But I was texting David the next day to be like, "How are you doing, buddy?" And
he's like, "Fine. What's your problem?"
18 hours.
18 hours. That's right. He knows how long it takes to go from start to finish.
From one end to the other. But basically, 18 hours for my one-man human centipede.
All right.
Oh shit.
Do you guys mind, we have a few questions in chat, just we can completely say screw homebrew clubs for the rest of the time.
Sure.
If you guys still
we're done. Yeah.
We've pretty much moved away from that one.
General Q&A.
Yeah. So going back like to like 20 minutes ago.
Remember that 20 minutes
What
ago?
time is it?
Yeah.
They
No,
may
so,
not be here anymore. But fuck 'em.
so Jackson's asking if anybody's ever done like a raw beer, like a no boil beer.
So last year we did a 40-hour beer that we brewed at Thursday night at Homebrew Fest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we used the Kvike or whatever, however we want to say it, yeast. And
What strain did you use? Do you guys remember? Jason was saying you thought you used Oslo last year.
we used the blend, actually. It was
Oh, okay.
like 3 different strains that James had going. I didn't even measure any of the ingredients out. I just kind of threw shit in a bucket. We had some of the leftover grain from our collaboration brew that was kind of like a dark Munich grain. I had some Empire Pilsner around. I had some Super Size hops from Hop Farms. Kevin had some special honey that's real piney. Jason had a little bit of that. Got to check it out.
Yeah.
The gang beer for Homebrew Fest last year was one of the options was no boil, so we did a no boil and we did a strawberry milkshake.
Yeah.
IPA.
I want to follow up and explain that for a sec too, because every year for the Michigan Homebrew Festival, there's a gang beer challenge, which is basically like a homebrew beer that the club brews together. At least 3 members, I think.
Yeah. The deal was to get at least 3 members to participate in the brew, and then guidelines were initially to hey, you got to brew with a group of ingredient from this group, ingredient from this group, ingredient from this group. Just try to get people together, try new things, and then whichever club won that particular year would then decide the guidelines for the following year.
Right. And there's sometimes special rules to it. And like you said, no boil was one last year. Boiled over a fire, I think, was one.
Yep.
Ferment with Pop Rocks.
Yeah.
Or not ferment. Carbonate with Pop Rocks.
Yeah.
Get the Pop Rock truck backing up. Doot, doot.
I just ordered that shit online in bulk, man. It's, really, I don't know who came up with that, but damn it, it's just priming sugar, you idiots. I mean, so easy.
Okay, so that was our club. Because we had won the year before, and so we wanted to mix it up because it had been the same for a couple years. Like you had to have what was it? It was like a spice or a leaf, a root or a bark.
Yep.
And like
fruit or flower.
Fruit or flower. And so we wanted to mix it up. So we added like a bunch of weird multipliers on that, like no boil and like
spittle.
Yeah.
Chicha.
There were a few that we rolled out. One was like found water, and we decided with PFAS that would not be a good idea.
Found water? Yeah, off the runway.
So we had to mix a few, but we threw out a bunch of like wacky things just to make it interesting. And
yum.
And then we I came up with the I feel like you had to have ingredients that matched up with the first 3 letters or acronym of your club name.
Yep.
So just
right. Yeah.
Just as a wacky thing to make it different.
Yeah. So we had spit, loogie, and what? Something else.
I'm glad I wasn't judging. Yeah, I think we had chicha listed as one of the beer styles you could do.
Yeah,
I believe it was. Yes.
Yeah.
So the whole thing, was
ultimate gang beer if you chew it all up together.
Yep.
That doesn't go over well in this age of COVID, though.
That's right. You can boil it.
Yeah. So the whole thing. So I think the whole thing was to basically encourage people to brew with other individuals and try things they had never done before, and say, hey, then people had experience they may not have, stuff like that. And first we had some beers that were actually pretty darn good. So it's
And
nice.
Jeff,
also-
you were
we also experienced beers like being
you were the
soup.
originator of the gang beer. I mean, Sons
Yeah,
of
well-
Liberty was really doing a gang beer before we made it a competition.
Yeah, the club collaboration, MASH or whatever, club collaboration. Everybody came in. I got 10 pounds of hops I haven't used in
Right.
5 years. Throw those in.
Yeah, it
Here's
was
some
a-
agave.
yeah,
Here's
garbage
some
can
brown
beer.
sugar. But then this really, you say, hey, let's use some fresh ingredients and, Jay, try something you haven't. But made it official, and they got that trophies out there now adorning somebody's mantle somewhere. We got to enjoy it at the house for a little bit.
It was Branch
Area
Brewers.
Branch
now.
area
And
Brewers
they were like the least populated club last year, and
I
they
think they only had
killed
2 or 3
it.
people.
Killed it.
Yeah, they had
That's
good
They
beer.
brought it though. They brought some darn good beverages though, and
Mhm.
that gang beer hit it.
I
That's pretty
think
good.
Branch Area Brewers is just like Corey, I think is his name.
Yeah,
Corey,
that sounds familiar. Yep,
It
yep.
was the last time we had to look it up, but yeah, they really brought it last year. So obviously the size of your club does not mean
Size
how
does not
well
matter.
you.
I like it
Keep
to say we
going.
jumped above our weight.
So, but yeah, it was a nice little option out there to feature to a beer competition, which is not within any sort of BJCP whatever. I think we had an alcohol, had to be at least 6.5 or something, and then besides that, it was open game. So
Might have even been 8 last year. Was last
Was
year the Imperial version? I think.
Oh,
I-
man.
could have been.
Or was
I
that the
learned-
year
No, I
before?
think so. Yeah, I
thing-
think you guys did that. I'm pointing at Paul.
Yeah. We
We don't have the
I think-
document.
I think Imperial was an option. Like,
Thanks, Leigh.
yeah. But I did learn something. I think our first year is don't first put your beer up on draft for judging right after the Dirty 30.
Oh, good point. Good point.
Can you explain the Dirty 30 for all the people that are going to attend next year?
I didn't witness the Dirty 30 that year that Kevin beat the Giant Lumberjack, but I caught Kevin after he beat the Giant Lumberjack. I forget his name. What's his name?
Ginger Hagrid,
Ginger
Wrong.
Hagrid. Yeah, I don't know.
No, his name's wrong.
Ron something.
No, I didn't bother with surnames. His name's
Was
wrong.
that the end, the champagne incident?
Champagne was the year before, wasn't it?
I think somebody did have champagne from what I heard, but I don't know if it was
No, but that wasn't. That was Sean. Sean got the champagne and fucking killed the champagne splint, and then walked behind the fence and puked.
Well, we were gonna take. We had those dill pickle juice, little double shot thingies.
yeah, double shots, yeah.
But then we were gonna take go in the power store by one quick awake whatever thing, and say, oh, we're gonna throw it in the bottom and hide behind your back and throw all the pickle juices in the bottom, the same size.
When Sean pulled that bottle of champagne, I think we were all telling him shake it and pop the cork, and throw half of that fucker out,
Launch the SS
Launch it,
MHF.
right. But instead, he gently did it and did. God damn!
I think
Took it down.
I think Kevin got a Starbucks coffee or something, and that killed him.
So
So-
for the uninitiated,
Oh, Brian's got to explain it. Yeah.
I want to make sure everybody's on the same page. No, so the Dirty 30, it's a Michigan Homebrew Festival ritual. Happens is it Saturday morning usually? Or is it
Saturday.
Well, I think at one point in time it was on Friday night,
Okay.
and then it moved to Saturday.
But then nobody woke up in time for
Yeah.
Saturday morning. So
You
Sure.
can bring a beverage, or some people bring multiple beverages, and you stick them in a cooler blindly. And once
Yeah.
everybody has their beverages in the cooler, people get called upon to essentially drink
Chug it.
them
Close your
against each
eyes.
other. Yeah, you reach
Close
into the
your
cooler
eyes.
and you grab something and you pop them open, and
And
down
you
it
chug
goes. And you get to pick out your next people.
Yeah.
So I thought it was great. I think it was last year. I took a Pliny bottle,
Oh.
and I filled it with.
A Pliny bottle.
I took a Pliny bottle and I filled it with Habanero Sculpin, and I put it in the dirty 30, and somebody I don't remember who it was. Somebody walked up to it and saw it, and they were all excited, and then they were like, "No, that's not the right cap," or something. They caught on before it even started, and then we get through the whole dirty 30. Nobody pulled that bottle, and at the end of it, they took out the last 3 or 4 or 5, 6 bottles, whatever, and set them on the table. And I was trying to watch, did anybody go and get it? And I missed it. At some point, somebody walked up and saw Pliny sitting there, opened it, and drank that fucker, and got a mouthful of habanero.
I think the key is knowing that a 12-ounce can won't have too many terrible surprises in it.
Everybody goes for the cans. Absolutely,
Yeah, nobody's trying to kill you with the can.
Yeah, I did the dirty 30 last year, and I had trouble waking up on Sunday. Man.
What was that Founders beer, DKML or whatever? The 40.
Yeah, I like that beer. Yeah, the
malt liquor.
Yeah.
Somebody had put a bunch of those in there, I think, a couple years ago.
And that should be considered a hate crime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we've officially crossed into our longest show ever, just hanging out with you guys.
Are we past the educational section? No.
I don't give a shit.
We can go as long as people want to, drink or whatever.
We've still got people watching, so this has been it's been great. Thank you guys for coming out, and I'm not trying to close the show. I just want to say thanks.
No, I'm glad I was actually able to
make it.
I thought I was going to be.
Hey, I got the day off tomorrow. It's not like I got to go to work.
I got one more day, and I'm taking 12 days off. That's why I'm going up north paddling next weekend, and then
is that the Paddle for Pints week or?
No, I don't think so.
I think it is something like that by Traverse, a Paddle for Pints, but probably canceled right now. But
well, that's what we bought this package 2 years ago at Uncle Ducky's Paddling Village or Paddle Michigan, whatever it was, and we've done it before, and it's great. But then COVID hit, and I thought, oh shit, they're going to cancel on us. And then Whitmer opened up the UP, and they pretty much emailed us and said, show up, fuckers. So we're going. We're going to paddle.
And that exact verbiage too.
Yeah. It should be safe. I mean, we'll be kayaking on Lake Superior. It's not like we're going to be hugging.
That'd be nice. It'd be nice and fresh. If COVID could survive in that water, good luck to COVID. Seriously, it's nice and fresh.
Hey, Jason.
Yeah.
Since we're talking about Homebrew Fest, do you want to show the time lapse of Homebrew Fest, the 71 seconds of Homebrew Fest?
Yes, I will.
Wait, what is this?
You can see. I did a time lapse of our booth,
and then there's a
good
chunk of it where I'm leaning on the bar too. Isn't it?
Yeah, that's during
it was like about 45 seconds of the 71 seconds.
Jason was leaning on a lot of bars last year.
Hey, there's I do it because I love you all.
I brought 34 sour bottles out. Jason brung some Arclight stuff that wasn't even, I think, released yet out.
Yeah,
and it was good fun.
Here goes. All right. Yeah.
So it
looks like Saturday morning there.
Yep.
With the table set up for the home beer cup presentation.
Yeah.
And here's fixing the bar. And your bottle.
There's only a couple people at the festival.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a solid event.
So this is 9 hours and 71 seconds. So.
Yeah. This is great. Those are all the syrups that you had to go in your different Berliner Weisses, right?
Right.
That
Yep.
are on the top of the bar.
Yeah, those were the
cool.
the IKEA syrups, the concentrates. The rhubarb.
Hold on. Right. There I was.
Yep.
God damn it. There I am. Leaning on the bar.
Yeah.
That was a fun time.
It's always a fun time.
Oh, Homebrew Fest.
This is where it's going to get busy.
That was the 20th.
Yeah, it's crazy how busy it gets when it gets dark. It's like we're all fucking moths.
Oh, that was the sour tasting.
No, this is the sour tasting.
All those sour bottles, and we're just
that's right.
around and around and around. That was great. Yeah. And there it goes.
Yeah, as soon as the bottles gone over and just fucked off. Scumbags.
Nice job, guys. That was neat. That was
It was
really
beautiful, wasn't it?
My blind cat's decided to join the stream.
cool. Yeah, I have
Never can stream.
my newer brew dog here. She's been dying to get in the gain access to the room. But
We're
Yeah, so
fostering a dog right now. My wife's like, "Can't you bring the dog on?"
feature it. We should do an episode of brew dogs, down the road.
I think that is copyrighted.
Is it?
Okay, brew hands then.
Brew Heinz.
Do they have a brewery in Michigan yet?
No, not yet.
Or yeah, whatever. Then I
Just-
can't. Yeah.
Columbus, Ohio is the closest thing we get.
So we have talked about, Brian and Jordan and I have talked about, at some point we're probably going to branch beyond Michigan, and then we're going to change the logo instead of being Michigan Brews to be like, put a red mark through it and be like, not Michigan Brews.
This ain't Michigan Brews.
Maybe it could be
Yeah.
Midwest Brews for.
Midwest.
Yeah.
Great Lakes Brews, that includes all the
All of them. That's right. That gives us like 6 more states, right?
yeah, right.
Canada, go Canadian.
Yeah, eh?
The problem is you can't at the moment.
All right. Do we
They
have any
won't let
more?
us in.
No, they won't.
So we got to wait until all this shit's finished.
Do
And
we
then
have
we
any
can do
more?
Windsor Brews.
Do we have any more comments? Thanks, Big Gretch. That's a good one.
Educational stuff. Na.
So also at Homebrew Fest takes place a barbecue competition,
That's right.
Yeah. It's
and then Chef Kevin Penn put together a beer tasting dinner last year.
Yep.
So I was lucky enough to be one of the judges of the barbecue competition last year, and I've never been in a position.
You wound up really well last year.
I was going to say, I've never been in a position before where I'm already
have-
drunk and fucked up, and now I have the meat sweat. So
Jason was laying on a bench outside of our bar for about 3 hours last year.
I think I remember him not looking so good.
Yeah.
that hurt me. That hurt me.
Come on.
So anyway, I think we're a good show, fellas. Thanks, Trent. It's good to
Thanks.
see you on there, and everybody that's been in comments, Kevin, Trent, all the people that in Keepers, Brandon and Patrick and stuff that watch us a long time. I feel like I should do the right thing and end this before I pass out on air.
Hey, Jason, thanks for having us. This was a blast.
Yeah, so my hope is I do want, this is our first chance kind of branching out on the east side of the state. So Livingston and Sons, thanks for joining us.
And another state.
And another
Illinois.
state. That's right, you're technically in Illinois.
Yeah,
right now.
technically.
What do you mean technically? I'm almost in Wisconsin. Wisconsin's there.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks a lot for inviting me. I really enjoyed it. Appreciate your having us on and knowing you at the past events. Had an awesome time sharing beverages in person. Hope to do it again soon.
It will.
We will soon.
As soon as COVID. Fuck COVID. And
Soon.
yeah, so cheers everybody.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers, everybody
a lot.
online.
Too.
Appreciate
Thank
you
you.
guys sharing your knowledge. So,
We
Thanks
share
everyone
knowledge.
for tuning in tonight.
Whoa. Hey.
yeah, right. Goodbye.
All right. Night,
Night,
guys.
night.
I know.